And it says we're live, which is always allegedly on YouTube. Hi, I'm Bear from the internet. You may be familiar with me from such greatest hits as, "Oh no, the government's trying to kill you," and "Read your Bible and do what it says," and "The grid is going to go away and you might die from that, so please don't and be prepared." Oh, and that first 30 seconds was for the intro, or the intro was for the replay crew, and now it says we're actually live on YouTube. I would like to, yet again, encourage YouTube to please and thank you kiss my hairy ass cheeks for algorithmically plotting against me. I hate that. The first 30 seconds you guys don't get to see, but it will be on the replay crew. And the reason they do that is because it makes the first 30 seconds of your content unappealing to new people, which means that your click-through rate on your thumbnail, even if you have a good thumbnail, people will come on board. They'll watch the first 30 seconds, go, "Oh, this guy sucks." And then they'll turn around and they'll leave again. And that serves to help keep the views down on channels that push information that they don't want out there. So, screw you, YouTube. Hi, I'm Bear from the internet. Good morning. Welcome, everybody. It's the 8th of January, 2025. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? It's 2025 already. Do the things. Subscribe, ring the little bell icon, comment, thumbs up. Make sure if you want to be subscribed that you actually are, because people get unsubscribed from this channel all the time by YouTube. So if you want to be here, be here. Welcome to all the noobs. And if you don't want to be here, don't be here. That's okay too. I get the nasty gram comments every day. It's like, listen, you probably got something better to do with your life. You know, crawl out of your mom's basement, knock the Cheeto dust off your fingers, put the cap back on the Mountain Dew, and go do something meaningful with your life instead of leaving negative comments on YouTube. Whatever, but whatever. The show is brought to you by the creator of the universe, Yahweh your Elohim, the Lord your God, whom we all serve, whether we know it or not. We are all his children, whether we know it or not. It's brought to you by RefugeMedical.com. I'm the founder and the CEO, Chief Shilling Officer of Refuge Medical. From my barn to 4 continents in 5 years, 140 lives saved to date with our trauma medical kits. So if you need a real first aid kit, come see us. And of course, the wonderful people over at Patreon. Link is in the description, the economic engine of the Bear Nation, where all the exclusive content lives. Now, we're going to talk about today. I'm going to talk about the United States and North America, because that appears to be a thing that's going on. We're going to actually talk about today the Flynn Network. I mentioned it yesterday on yesterday's Coffee Time with Bear, which, by the way, we need some coffee. For all you ASMR people out there, Bear, I hate it when you slurp coffee. Delete, unsubscribe. There we go. We're actually going to talk about the Flynn Network today as well. We're going to talk about, hey, what happened to all the drones? And we're going to talk about this fire in California. And I do also have a written brief from the Dance Monkeys, intel at bearindependent.com. Now, our Friday intel brief is in large part put together by y'all. What you're seeing, what you're hearing, not links and articles and hey, Bear, you got to read this post on X. No, Bear does not. Although I am on there, but it's what you've seen, what you've heard with your own eyeballs, your own ears. You send those reports to intel at bearindependent.com. And then on Friday's show, we will read them all together and be aghast at the sorry state of humanity. Sound good? Okay. So do that. If you have anything you'd like to submit, intel at bearindependent.com. The United States Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, Blinken, was in South Korea on Monday, and during his trip, he said, quote, "The DPRK, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, North Korea, is already receiving Russian military equipment and training." Well, no shit. They sent people over to Ukraine, where the Khazarians are at, or from. Remember that? Yeah, we talked about that yesterday. Now we have reason to believe that Moscow intends to share advanced space and satellite technology with Pyongyang, which sounds like a ping pong game. He also said that Russia may be close to reversing a decades-long policy and choosing to recognize North Korea as a nuclear power. Smoke, mirrors, more noise. What are we gonna do if Rocket Man gets nukes? Oh, he already has rockets. What are we gonna do if he gets nukes? Probably war in the South China Sea. Probably. Is that gonna go well for us? Maybe not, because you may not know this, but China's over there and they don't love us, and Russia's over there and they don't love us either. Now, what's it been since 2014, but definitely since 2019? United States Marine Corps, you might have heard of those guys. They like to eat crayons and kill stuff, make the grass grow. Um, the United States Marine Corps has been revamping its strategic initiatives to be able to perform the role of littoral combat, littoral, littoral combat, not literal combat. Like we were like literally in combat, and then there was like a Chinaman with a PKM, and he was just like, "Grrr," and I was like, oh my God, we're gonna die. Not literal like that, littoral, which means along the coastline. Why? They're literally optimizing for island hopping again. What's up with that? Hmm. So, if the DPRK, North Korea, gets nukes from Russia, how's that going to affect us geopolitically? Well, first of all, it'll be scary. It'll be scary. And all the talking heads and the pundits are going to go, Rocket Man bad. Rocket Man have nuke. We gonna die. Yeah, well, it is. We're all going to die Wednesday. So, that would not be stellar, which means we'll probably have to do something about it, which means first they'll start with sanctions to economically hurt them, and then there'll be bravado and big speeches given by all the talking heads politically around the world, and the United Nations might even say something about it, and certainly NATO will assemble somewhere in some hallowed halls somewhere in Europe or North America, and they'll say, we must do something to stop Rocket Man, and Rocket Man will say, no, me throw a nuclear weapon at you. And we'll go, oh, this is very bad. And Xi Jinping will poke us, and there'll be all kinds of RT articles, Russia Today, propagandizing the United States of America, talking about how we're never going to win a war with North Korea backed by Russia and China. And then at some point, somebody will shoot something over there in the Pacific Ocean. Made it happen, let it happen, whatever. It'll be some kind of incident, like the sinking of the Lusitania, the Gulf of Tonkin incident, or 9/11, or pick your poison, Pearl Harbor, and then we'll go to war in North Korea, and then Halliburton and Raytheon and everybody else will make billions and trillions and quadrillions of dollars, and we'll be like, I don't understand why the economy is so bad. President Trump was supposed to fix everything, or not. I don't know, but I could see it going that way. Blinken also said that the U.S. has been trying to fortify Ukraine's position so it would have, quote, the strongest possible hand in negotiations with Russia in the future. Meh. With only a few weeks left of Biden's administration, I think we mean Jill Biden's administration, because Biden's either dead or a robot or brain dead, or maybe all three. And Kamala is a literal whore who has no reason to be in government whatsoever, other than she was a DEI hire specifically by the Biden administration, so that he would only consider Black women for the role of vice president. Okay, so she was a DEI hire, and she's a moron. Although I was happy to see the footage of the certification of the electoral votes yesterday, with Kamala having to explain that she lost to Donald J. Trump. That was interesting. So who's actually running the show? My guess is Joe Biden and Joe Biden's advisors, aka the deep state. Okay. Throat goat, says Iron Wolf the biker. Yep. Yeah, that's a good term for Kamala. So the Biden administration only has a couple of weeks left to ruin the world as we know it. And the looming uncertainty of the Trump administration, the U.S. has been rushing authorized aid to Ukraine. Now, define authorized. Just because a bunch of people in suits who go to Washington, D.C. with a few $100,000 in net worth and leave Washington, D.C. with hundreds of millions of dollars in net worth decided it would be a good idea to take your taxpayer dollars and launder them through Ukraine back to themselves, and then, support the military industrial complex and bleed Russia out, air quote, in Ukraine, doesn't mean it's authorized. Authorized by who? Our elected representatives in our democracy, Bear. Yeah, okay, sure, whatever. A digression upon my digression, and I got to try and move quickly here because we have a lot of ground to cover, and I don't want this to be 3 hours long because y'all won't watch it, and a bunch of y'all yell at me in the comments. That's Vice President Throat Goat. That's right, Striker Kid. Is that what her nameplate says on her desk? Does she even have a desk? That like the offices of the Vice President Throat Goat. Yeah. Forget whatever I was going to say. It's fun. Biden administration, inauguration, bad. We'll see. Blinken explained, quote, if there's going to be at some point a ceasefire, it's not going to be in Putin's mind game over. His imperial ambitions remain, and what he will seek to do is to rest, to refit, and eventually re-attack. He pointed out that it was necessary to have a, quote, adequate deterrent in place so that he doesn't do that, so that he thinks twice, 3 times before engaging in any re-aggression. Now, to the extent that you can take Vladimir Putin at face value, and I'm not saying that you should, even though a lot of conservative Christian, Orthodox Christians, counter-narrative people all go in the direction of, well, Biden bad, then Putin must be good. And no, Putin's not a good guy either. Well, he means what he says. He means what he says, but a lot of what he says is meant to be misinformation and propaganda and smoke and mirrors and fog. And so, yes, he means there to be fog when he creates fog. He means there to be misinformation when he says misinformation. He means to push a narrative when he pushes a narrative. But it would be retarded of him to tell you everything that he was going to do, because that removes the element of surprise. And you want speed, surprise, violence of action when you're attacking. So, yeah, can you take Putin at face value? You reap what you sow. See how well that's going to go for you. But Putin has said since jump, since 2014, with when this whole Crimea thing started going down, which reminds me of Justin Timberlake's Crimea River, if I've got to be perfectly honest with you. Do you even ADD, bro? Putin, when this thing went down, he said, I don't want NATO on Russia's doorstep. It's as simple as that. Now, one could argue if Russia was to take all of Ukraine, that NATO would still be on his doorstep because he would then possess Ukraine. But Ukraine would be like a protectorate of Russia, a buffer zone in between him and Eastern Europe. Now, the United States has had people in Ukraine since at least 2014. And when I say people, I mean like spooky guys over there doing stuff. Civil affairs. You know, the only difference between CIA and CA is the intelligence. Civil affairs guys, and I'm sure people from the agency, and I know for a fact Green Berets that I'm homies with that have been over there doing stuff. I'm not certain about naval special warfare. I don't know if they were involved in the shenanigans or not. If they were, nobody I know at NSW has told me that they were. But they've been over there doing stuff for a long time, like for a decade or more. And then all of a sudden, we just happen to have a conflict in Ukraine. And so to an extent, Putin's correct that like we started this mess over there and he doesn't want to deal with this mess, so he's going to finish it. But this has been a long time coming, this whole Ukraine war thing, to the point that we've been so inundated with information about Ukraine that I think very few of us even care anymore. I have to find myself working hard to actually care about what's happening in Ukraine. And that's part of the big day. That's part of their goal, is to just inundate you with misinformation, disinformation, fog, so that you don't care anymore. And then that gives them tacit permission to continue doing the shenanigans that they're doing in the first place. And then we talked yesterday about narrative, counter narrative, that the truth is not in between the narrative and the counter narrative. It's beneath the narrative and the counter narrative. So Russia good. No, Ukraine good. Blah, blah, blah. This many deaths. No, that many deaths. They spent this much. They spent that. They're running out of artillery. We're not going to have. United States is low on small arms stockpiles of munitions. But narrative, counter narrative. Okay. The truth is not in between those two things. The truth is below those two things. And the narrative and the counter narrative are used to cover up the actuality of what's happening there and everywhere else that you see a narrative and a counter narrative. So don't be that Pyongyang ping pong ball in between the narrative and the counter narrative, bouncing back and forth. You want to look deeper than that. What are the, and a big, big indicator here is what are people not talking about? One of my favorite quotes is from the now deceased investigative journalist Jim Marrs, two R's, Marrs. I said, the media can't tell you what to think, but they can tell you what to think about. And that's absolutely true because you only have so much mental bandwidth, only so much time to invest in your daily news information education, that if you're inundated with bullshit, you won't be focused on the things that actually matter. And so that's a big part of the narrative, and the counter narrative is to inundate you with bullshit. A paper published last October by the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. And so anytime you see a big name like that, assume that what they do is the opposite of. So the Carnegie Endowment for International War examined in detail the state of cooperation between China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea. It said, quote, there's no question that each one of these states, China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, threatens U.S. interests. Their current cooperation deserves the attention of U.S. policymakers and intelligence analysts, especially when it comes to their support to Russia in its war on Ukraine and the potential proliferation of military technology, end quote. And went on to show how cooperation between those states was either individual or in pairs so far. But if they all gang up against us at one time, can you say World War III, homie? It's going to be great. We're just going to send our sons and daughters into the maw to suffer and die on behalf of American crony capitalism and enrich the politicians and the deep state. It's going to be wonderful. And for the low, low price of the blood of your children and 500+% inflation, you get to stay here and continue to eat processed food and be fed propaganda by Meta and by YouTube and by Google and by X and by all the other news sources, your Netflix, your Disney Plus subscription. It's going to be great. Situation normal, all effed up. And it's called a snafu, right? It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. But we will prevail through America, and because we're a second covenant nation that the Father smiled upon, and it has to go well for us. If the people seek my face and humble themselves and heal their land, I will shut up. Propaganda. This is all propaganda. Or what you could do is keep your sons and daughters at home, teach them, grow food, have some homies, have good fences, good gates, have some cows, some sheep, some goats, maybe if you're just into shenanigans. Be able to protect yourself, inform yourself, read your Bible every day, and remove yourself from the beast system so that when the beast system falters and fails, you don't fail with it. Bear's in a cheerful mood today. Good morning, Texas Sheep Lady. I don't know. I've got one of those rare 8 hours of sleep nights. This is what I look like when that happens. Good morning, Sister Dinah. A paper discussing the four countries went on to point out, quote, as of now, the problem created by cooperation among this grouping is thus largely limited to its impact on the war in Ukraine. Further scenarios exist, however, that could be far more problematic for the United States. These involve forms of intensified proliferation of nuclear and missile technology, especially opportunistic coordination during a crisis or war, end quote. Now, one of the net benefits to the military industrial complex, the deep state, to the Department of Defense of Ukraine, is that we are relearning lessons that we had forgotten really since the Korea War forward in what would be considered third generation conventional warfare, artillery, no air superiority, no golden hour, large troop movements, large assaults, large logistics, European war, World War II style war. Come asteroid, come Billy Blaze. That's pretty funny, actually. It's a little apathetic, but it's pretty funny. So we're relearning those lessons largely at the expense of the Russians and the Ukrainians, which is why you see countries like North Korea, the United States, and others, Russia, Germany, England, France. I think even the Aussies have a few people there as military advisors, military observers, so they can document those lessons, bring them back to their constituent homelands, and say, hey, we need to reorganize all the things that we're doing because it's not going to work if we get into this type of conflict. Which is in part why so many of us pay attention to the war in Ukraine. One of the massive things that's come out of Ukraine is drone warfare and drone defense. What do you do about the drones? Well, you shoot them out of the sky, you jam them, you use an EMP gun. Yeah, because drone warfare is a thing. And there are, I don't know the exact numbers of how many civilian level drones there are, little DJI Mavics, those things, but it's got to be hundreds of thousands, if not millions. And you can 3D print a quick release on those things, and they have enough thrust to carry a hand grenade. And that doesn't sound like much until the drone flies into you, or it's got explosives on board in the drone that can be remote detonated, and the drone flies into you, and those explosives go off, or that grenade goes off, and you're done for. You're done for. That sucks. And completely unrelated, when was the last time you went and shot skeet? You might think about it. You might get really good at shooting skeet. This report went on to explain that the transfers of vital nuclear technologies to Iran and North Korea could be particularly damaging, that it could happen if, say, Russia realized North Korea's nuclear capability was inevitable and decided to partner with them. Now, they're already partnered with them. Russia and North Korea, Kim Jong-un and Putin, they're homies, man. They hang out. They play basketball together. They drink margaritas together. They drive through abandoned North Korean cities that were built for no reasons other than propaganda together. Yeah, they play tiddlywinks. They're homies. The potential impacts could include not just the enormous cost of additional missile defense and countermeasures for these new threats, but in Iran's case specifically, it could provoke a nuclear cascade or war in the Middle East. And there we are. Trump has wanted a war in the Middle East, specifically with Iran, since his first administration. We've talked previously, including yesterday, about who is ISIS actually and who's pulling the strings over there at ISIS, and why is there a war between Israel, the nation state of, established by the Rothschilds in 1949, not the biblical Israel, but the nation state of Israel over there, occupied by the Khazarians, not the Yahudim, but that's another conversation. Why does the nation state of Israel want a war with Iran? Well, they're all proxy wars. The war in the Middle East between Israel and Hamas and Hezbollah and the Houthis and Iran and now Syria and all these other places is a proxy war between the United States and Russia. See, Iran has been basically a lapdog of Russia since 1979. Iran, above the threshold of detection, 1/7 of their GDP comes from military arms sent to Russia. So 1/7 of all the money they earn. Below board, it's estimated to be as much as 40% between Russia and Iran. So they're tight. Iran serves as a training ground for Hamas, Hezbollah, ISIS, Al Qaeda, all these other scumbags over there. And they legitimately, I'm not saying the Iranian leadership is good, because they legitimately scream death to America and death to Israel. And the age of consent in Iran for a sexual encounter is 9 years old based upon the Quran. So those guys can get some, as far as I'm concerned. Screw those guys. But this is a proxy war. Israel and Iran is a proxy war between Russia, who backs Iran, and the United States that backs Israel. Or one, I'm becoming more and more convinced by the day that the tail is wagging the dog with this whole Israel/America relationship. Just do 5 minutes of research on who al-Baghdadi actually is. Just do some research there. You definitely won't find the name Eli Shimon. You definitely won't find out that Eli Shimon is a Mossad operative. Why would you do that? Top-down targeting. The leadership of ISIS, Al Qaeda, etc., they're all Mossad. And then they recruit these bad guys so they know exactly where they are so that they can then schwack them. It's creative. I'm just not interested in spending American blood and American taxpayer dollars on that anymore. No, I'm good on that. It's Hoist Gracie. Remember that guy? You ever watched some old UFC fights back in the day when there were no weight classes, no time limits, and Hoist Gracie was wearing a gi? And they asked him one time, they said, "Why do you wear a gi? Everybody else is fighting in trunks or in shorts." And he says, "It's very simple, my friend. You grab my gi, I know where your hand is. You grab my gi, I know where your hand is. I don't have to go looking for your hand to put you in an arm bar or punch you in the face. You've touched me. I now know where you are." Right? Something very similar to that, I think, has been happening as far as this ISIS thing is concerned. Um, that in large part, the leadership is not a bunch of radical jihadist scumbags. They're intelligence operatives that inherited and or created a network beginning in the 1980s so that they could specifically target their own network, pass intel back to the United States, the CIA, the blah, 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 to take the bad guys out, which are legitimate bad guys. But previous comment, I'm not really interested in spending American blood or taxpayer money on it anymore. My 2 cents. But Iran could get nukes from Russia. And then what are we going to do about it? Oh, cause this belli. Now we got to go to war in the Middle East again. Oh, don't really love that. Naturally, if the 4 nations, which 4 nations is that? Do we remember? Can we find it in the report? China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea. If the 4 nations decided to coordinate policy or even military action across their various regions, it could create a strain on the United States by, quote, confronting it with a state of near constant global crises, end quote. Near constant global crises seems to be what we've got thus far anyway. Now, that is the written brief for today. That's also posted on Patreon. What else are we going to talk about today? I need a place to put this. We're going to put it right there on my desk. We're also going to talk about the United States of North America here shortly. We're going to talk about the Flynn Network. We're going to talk about where are the drones. We're going to talk about these California fires momentarily. Squimmed. Why like the video, you bad. Right? Yeah, a little thumbs up will go a long way. RefugeMedical.com. We make all our stuff in America. We guarantee it forever. Best trauma first aid kits on planet Earth. If you need some Band-Aids, go somewhere else. If you want to not die during a mass casualty incident, shot, stabbed, blown up, motor vehicle accident, car slides off the road in winter into a concrete Jersey barrier, you get hit by a Peterbilt, or a plane crashes through the roof of your warehouse, or you work in the trades and you have a guy that cuts a finger off or gets an arm ripped off by a skid steer, or you're a guy in the middle of nowhere doing things that never happen in places that don't exist, and you get all the way blowed up and you have to use the entire contents of a bear fac, including the pouch for wound packing in order to keep one of your guys alive, we got you covered. That's the kind of medicine we do. Cuts, scrapes, bruises. Yeah, we have kits for that. We have a boo-boo kit. Even the bare minimum has that stuff in it. And I realize that stuff's way more prevalent than critical bleeds, maintaining a patent airway, maintaining respirations. But most people miss the fact that the #1 cause of preventable death in the United States year over year, it's not diabetes, it's not COVID, it's not comorbidities, it's not heart disease, it's not AIDS, it's uncontrolled bleeding. Uncontrolled bleeding. It's not alcohol, it's uncontrolled bleeding. Okay? And that's what we do, the March algorithm. Massive bleeding, airway, respiratory, circulation, head injury, hypothermia, everything else. And our kits are designed to treat that, okay? Or your tractor rebels against you. Yeah, you remember that one life-saved Texas sheep lady? The story of that guy hopped off his tractor, didn't realize it was still in gear. Tractor rolled over him. It was rough. He was all beat up. He's able to put himself back together with a bear fac and not die. So if you need a real first aid kit, if you're a real human being out there that has blood in their body right now, that is respirating, that is exchanging CO2 for oxygen across the alveoli of your lungs right now, without even knowing it because it's part of your autonomic nervous system, That's what we do. All right. You can buy your Band-Aids at Walmart or Dollar General. You're not going to offend me at all. But if you buy your tourniquets from China or anybody else that doesn't know what the hell you're talking about, it's not going to serve you. And it's one of the things that I absolutely despise is this cut rate, low quality, commoditized trauma medicine gear that's on the market. And the reason so much of that has flooded the market is because the Chinese have produced tens of millions of units of this garbage, and they're concerned about the upcoming tariffs during the Trump administration. So they're flooding the market right now with all this bad trauma medical stuff, and it's trash. It's absolute trash. I've showed you this on camera before. I have a rhino rescue kit right here that I bought with my own money. This is their pressure bandage. Okay. It's literally falling apart. The pad on it ripped apart when I stretched it. And look, what does that say right there? Rhino Rescue Emergency Bandage. There's the alleged gauze pad that was in there. It came off. And it's not even a gauze pad. It's just cotton that had the thinnest little wisp of a layer of paper, I think. Yep, paper over the top of it. And the whole point of this is to be able to stretch it to provide pressure, because it's a pressure bandage, because the pressure is what causes the bleeding vessel to be pinched off and stop bleeding so that you don't die. Look at the screen. I'm going to put a little bit of pressure on this, okay? See how thin that is? Look, you can see through it. Look at that. This stuff is like 1/4 of a millimeter thick. This is just complete and utter trash. 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 Oh, yeah. And this was their hemostatic soluble gauze, Chinese gauze. This is not hemostatic impregnated nothing. This is nylon that you would make pantyhose out of. That's all it is. That's all it. There's no hemostatic in this whatsoever. If you've ever used Celox or Quick Clots or Combat Gauze, anything like that, you can feel the kaolin clay in it. Not this. This is just a piece of nylon. That's literally all it is. In other words, it won't freaking work. Oh, and look, I just ripped it in half. It's trash. It's trash. Okay? Don't buy this Chinese shit. I know. Real medical stuff's expensive. Comma, have you priced the flowers for a funeral lately? Which would you rather buy? A real first aid kit so that your wife, your children, your best friend, your coworkers, you are still here if you need it. Or flowers. One bouquet of flowers for a funeral. Now, for less than one bouquet of flowers for a funeral, you can get this right here. This is an OD green bare minimum kit from Refuge Medical. Made in America, guaranteed forever. Real shears, real genuine North American Rescue Generation 7 CAT combat application tourniquet. Real, right there. Molly Pals webbing compatible. War belt, plate carrier, chest rig, headrest, rucksack, backpack, glove box, desk drawer, day pack, whatever. Okay? Anywhere. Motorcycle, bicycle, saddle of your horse. Yes, I've seen pictures of that, and I think it's cool AF. All right? You pop this lid open right here. And by the way, this has enough retention that if you're going to go do IMT, individual movement technique, or run around the woods fighting the government, you can, and your shit's not going to fall off of you, unlike a bunch of other kits that are out there. And it has a grommet hole in the bottom so that if you're doing water crossings and this thing gets filled with water, it'll drain back out again. And it's made out of Brookwood nylon, real military specification nylon, not some cheap Chinese crap. Super tight weave on this, super high durability, hand stitched by Americans here. You pop this lid off, you pull the red handle right here, and then this stays stuck to you, which is good. But my trauma medicine stuff is out where I need it because people who need this stuff are usually laying on the freaking ground. Okay? Because sick people fall down, especially when there's blood loss involved. And then I can pop this open with one hand, and I've got all my stuff laid out right here per priority of care. I've got my pressure bandage, my tape, my quick clot, my gloves, my wound packing gauze, my rolled gauze in the back pocket right here. I've got my burn tech dressing. I've got Halo chest seals. Down here in the bottom, I've got my boo-boo stuff. This is the bare minimum kit, all right? So anyway, we make real first aid kits. And if you need a real first aid kit, whether I saw one of you yesterday, bless you, bought 5 Bearfacts and a stomp bag. What's a stomp bag? It's a hospital on your back. It's a backpack filled with capability, SEAL Team Operational Medical Pack. We took the specifications from Naval Special Warfare for their combat medics, and we made it even better, and then made it available to civilians like you, okay? That's what we do. Everything from little tiny kits like this one right here, SOB, small to back, weighs as much as one loaded AR magazine. It's that big, mounts on a war belt or a plate carrier, does the same thing, red handle, kit comes out, boom, ready to go, all the way up to, literally, I've provided field hospitals to people when needed. So your agency, your organization, your department, your disaster relief, your community emergency response team, firefighters, EMS, law enforcement officers, sheriff's departments, mutual assistance groups, individuals, households, whatever you need. You can call us, numbers on the website. You can use the chat, hit the chat function on the website. No AI bots, no automated responses, real people on the other end of the phone and the chat, or you can shoot us an email, refugemedical.com. Real American first aid kits for the preservation of life. Now, how many states do you think we're going to get out of this Trump presidency? How many more? Okay. Trump land grabs is a thing that's kind of all over the media and alternate media right now, right? Canada, right? He's going to use economic force. He did an interview yesterday where somebody asked him if he would use military force to take Canada, and he said no, economic force, but it didn't sound like he was ruling out military force to take Canada, which is interesting. Somebody in Canada, I forget who, it looked like the former Secretary of Health and Human Services, that cross-dressing fat guy. Remember who I'm talking about? You guys know who I'm talking about. Stomp bag is huge, LOL, says Michael McFarland. Yeah, it's 32 pounds of capability. It's designed to keep 14 people alive for 10 days. SEAL Team, Operational Medical Pack. That's what it is. Okay. So anyway, somebody from Canada said, that's cute. If you take Canada, Canada will take California, Washington State, and Oregon. First of all, I don't think you're offending me when you say that. Okay, fair. But second of all, let's examine the logic here. Canada's going to take the left coast, but we're going to take Canada, which means we get the left coast back. Okay, now go for it. Right, Pilgrim says, try it. Yeah, you're going to make it somewhere around Oregon, and Hop and Brass Facts and the rest of the Nova group are going to be up there in the hills with their 11.5 shorties with their suppressors, ogling all of their YouTube review gear, just dropping Canadians left and right. Sure. But if Canada took the left coast and then we take Canada, we get the left coast back. So, which, there's 40 million people in Canada. There's a significant amount of GDP, or in California, rather. There's a significant amount of GDP in California. I can kind of see the benefit mutually for both the United States and for Canada to become part of the United States of America, whether it's a protectorate or a territory or a state. Give Hawaii back, take Canada. Well, we need Hawaii for strategic reasons. Where else are we going to allow ourselves to get attacked by the Japanese so we can get into World War II? Right? Yeah. Yeah, we need it. But plus, it's beautiful. Oprah has to buy up all that land out there, which is why they use directed energy weapons to set Maui on fire. It's fine. How would most Canadians vote, though? That's a good question. And I'll admit my normalcy bias here. All the Canadians I know are badass, like all of them. I've yet to run into me personally. I'm sure they exist, but I have yet to run into just your like bleeding heart, gender fluid, testosterone blocker taking, shitting in a litter box, blue haired Canadian. I haven't met any like that. I'm sure they exist because I know there's many myriads of Americans that exist like that as well. But the Canadians I know, like we've had Canadians come and take our classes at Refuge. They're awesome. Ed from the Iridium Group, awesome. Hugh from Men's Group Monday, awesome. I used to, when I lived in upstate New York cutting timber, had a bunch of French Canadians, the Nadals, Dennis Nadal. I've talked about Dennis Nadal on camera before. That guy's awesome. Those guys are awesome. So what kind of Canada would we be getting? I don't know. But there's a lot of natural resources up there. There's a lot of land up there, and it's also closer to the North Pole. And that's not hyperbole, not because I give a shit about Santa Claus and all the myths and rumors around surrounding that, but because one of our primary threats is over the horizon missiles being launched from China, North Korea, Iran, and Russia, which is, I think, in part why Greenland is in play as well. Now, Trump, I think it was Trump Jr., a contingent with Trump Jr. involved, just landed in Greenland yesterday to begin talks about the United States acquiring Greenland. I saw somebody said if every single person in Greenland was given a check from the United States of America for $1 million today, it would cost $87 billion to acquire Greenland, which is less than half of what we've given to Ukraine thus far. Now, that's interesting. I will say this. I'm in no way adopting the metric system. If Americans have to flex off of bald eagles per blue whale as a unit of measurement in order to get onto the metric system, I'm not interested. Okay. A mile is 5,280 feet. Why that number? If I know, but because it is. Okay. I'm not doing the metric system if we adopt Canada and Greenland. Comma. There's a lot of natural resources there. There's a lot of military capability there. There's a lot of good people there. Okay. So we'll see. I don't want another man to come save me, says Canadian Crusader. Yeah, that's fair. I get that. I don't want another man to come save me either. But your leadership, much like ours, homie, sucks shit. So we'll see. I think it could be mutually beneficial to both Canada and North America. At a minimum, here's another thing. What if, boys and dribbles? Because Trump is also talking about taking back the Panama Canal and renaming the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. Now, egotistically, I like it. I like it. I like it. What if the United States controlled from the Panama Canal to the Arctic Circle? Okay, the United States of North America. Well, more people, more resources, more trade, more tariffs, more taxes. Another thought that occurs to me is we know that we've got illegal immigrants that mean America harm in Canada and Mexico on both our northern and southern borders. Well, if cartels are classified as terrorist organizations, which Trump aims to do, and I have at least some corroborating intel on that from inside sources that I can't discuss publicly, but that's happening, it sounds like. It also sounds like, at least right now, we are 100% on for mass deportations, which is interesting because we're going to deport people back to a landmass that we're going to end up controlling anyway. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But the mass deportations via Pete Hegseth and the Department of Homeland Security, as of right now, that is on. I can't tell you how I know that's on because I can't betray my sources on that, but that is on. subject to change at any moment based upon which way the political wind is blowing. All right. So I would prep for that because that's going to be chaos actual. But there's bad guys to the north and south borders of the United States of America. And if the military is going to get involved because of a declaration of a terrorist organization of these cartels, the DOD is going to target cartels. Wouldn't it be much easier to do that if we weren't on somebody else's sovereign soil inside of the Canadian border with the Mexican border to do that? So now, where this gets interesting is lots of people referencing old maps from the 1980s and earlier, talking about Novos Ordo Seclorum, the New World Order, and the 10 regions that have been in Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030, these 10 regions, kind of like Hunger Games, that have been suggested. And when you look at the map of region 4, I don't remember. One of the regions is all of North America, from the Panama Canal up to the Arctic Circle. There's a lot of people saying, see, Trump, he's deep state actor, man. He's the guy. He's going to do it. Maybe. All things are possible. Not all things are plausible. And that, getting back to the intel cycle, we have to discern between the two. Just because it's possible doesn't mean it's likely. That being said, I like Trump better than Biden, like a lot better than Biden. And I'm not a single issue voter, but my single issue in 2025 is the economy. It's the economy, stupid. I am tired of normies like you and me just being absolutely bled to death through taxation and inflation. The cost of everything is up. Wages are stagnant. Inflation is up. The cost of goods are up. And it's terrible. It's terrible. It's unsustainable. So I would like Orange Man Bad to massage the economy, please and thank you, so that I can afford to live and so that you can afford to live. That would be good. Please and thank you. But is he the Antichrist? Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. Are you the Antichrist? Maybe not. Is he part of the New World Order? Maybe not. I don't know. I have a note over here from a dear friend and brother, Brother Richard at Altruistic Torah Studies. And he and I were on the phone maybe a month ago. I was taking notes. And one of the things that he said that I wrote down is, a thing may be true, but is it worth onboarding? Okay. A thing may be true, but is it worth onboarding? And the question there is, how is this belief serving you? Trump's the Antichrist. Okay, what are you going to do about it? Because if you're saying that from like your, apartment complex in a major city where we're clearly instructed to flee to the wilderness, when you see all these things, flee to the wilderness, and you haven't flowed to the wilderness yet, then how is that belief serving you? Okay. So just because a thing is true doesn't mean it's worth onboarding. Fled. Have you fled? Thank you, Character Matters. I prefer flewed. Have you flewed to the wilderness? All right. And another thing that he said that I wrote down, and I'm not stealing his thunder in any way. I'm giving credit to Brother Richard because he's a wise man, and I am blessed to know him. The lies we tell ourselves are our greatest sources of suffering. The lies we tell ourselves are our greatest sources of suffering, which again gets back to, how is this belief serving you? So if DJT is the Antichrist, what are you doing about it? Do you believe that, or is that just some shit that you say to people on the internet? Okay. What are you actually doing about it? If he's going to usher in a one world government, what are you doing about it? How is that affecting the way that you're living? I'll tell you how deep my belief or disbelief in this runs. The only thing different in 2025 that my family is doing from a preparedness standpoint is we are, shocker, stocking even more food. Water's squared away. Backup generation is squared away, although we have plenty of room for improvement there. Livestock, doing great. Fences and gates and borders, good. Ongoing training for tactical and medical, good. Networking with people, good. Commo, good. Room for improvement. Commo capability there. Yeah, being a blessing to others. I think between Caleb House and Grindstone and just loving our neighbor as ourselves, we're doing pretty good. So what are we doing? We're stocking even more food. Now, if I genuinely thought this guy, this is the Antichrist and the one world government, and it's going down, man, I would probably take one of our dump trailers, fill it full of shit, and start relocating to another location. Because I like where I live a lot, enough that we built this new house here. But if I thought this was it, I'd be doing something about it, which means because belief is what you do. Ergo, I don't believe he's the Antichrist. Could he be? Yeah, possible. Plausible? Nah, I don't think so yet. Is it the one world government? They're going to subjugate us all, Bear? I'm talking to you via Google right now. I think it's easy. There's other arguments that make more sense on what's the one world government. Now, therefore, wait and be watchful, for no man knows the day or the hour. Tracking. Yup. Good advice. Yeah, of course it is. It came from Messiah. So if/when things get stupid, I will adjust accordingly. But right now, my primary concern is fix the economy, stupid. It's the beast system and the dollar, and it's right there, the 13 steps on the pyramid and the all-seeing eye and the owls. Yep, for sure. Yep. But until you guys are willing to trade in this, that's what we got. I've yet to see Wells Fargo / PayPal FedEx me some silver in the mail as a form of payment. So, and that's again, it's the beast system. Cool. What are you doing about it? If it's the beast system, how can you hear my voice right now, dummy? Like, for real. Like you're 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And I would consider myself to be somebody of deep faith. And yet here I am. Why? For the preservation of life, for these conversations with you. So that hopefully you leave here better than you came. A little bit better informed, a little bit more entertained, a little bit deeper understanding of your relationship with the Creator by the blood of the Son. Okay? Just a little bit better. That's my goal, to leave you a little bit better than you came. And we're all still here. You can hear my voice right now. So is it the end of the world as we know it? The facts say that it's not. Because if it was, none of us would be doing this right now. Doesn't mean we're not knocking on the door of it. But this ain't it, Chief. We're not there yet. Okay. So the Novos Order Seclorum Trump land grab from Panama, the Panama Canal up to Greenland and Canada. I'm vaguely for it. I'd like to know more. I'm interested. I might be an early adopter, but I'd like more details, please. Click here for more help. I will click the little checkbox for you to contact me via email because I'd like to know more. Right? But on the surface, yeah, more people, more resources, larger tax base, larger tariff base, better for the defense of the nation, better for the reindustrialization of the nation, which is a key thing when it comes to manufacturing. Think about all the manufacturing that happens in Mexico that should be servicing North America rather than importing goods from South Asia and China, who is our enemy, primary threat on the global stage. Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. And man, all the fuel and energy that comes out of Canada, plus moose. Pretty sure moose is clean. They split the hoof, right? Exactly. Moshe is going to be right back. Moshe, you're going to be right back? I think the next time we're going to see you is when you're one of the two witnesses in Jerusalem, spitting fire from your face hole, and then you're going to die. And the whole world is going to rejoice. They're going to be like, the prophets are dead. And you're going to lay in the streets for 3.5 days. And the whole world will rejoice. There'll be gift giving and presents and singing and dancing. And CNN's going to televise the thing all over the place. And then you're going to be dead like this. And then you're going to sit right up. And the whole world's going to go, oh, shit. We done messed up. And then you're going to whoop back to the Father. And then it's going to get really bad. And if we're being perfectly honest, the two witnesses is the indicator that I'm looking for to go, yep, we're in the end of the world. This is it. This is the end of the world as we know it. There are two witnesses spitting fire from their face holes in Jerusalem. Now, some people interpret that to say that the two witnesses are two tribes or two people groups. Some people think that the fire is metaphoric, not literal. Like, the rappers when they're dropping bars, spitting fire, yo, maybe Moshe is just going to be in Jerusalem hardcore rapping with Tom McDonald about the coming of Christ. That could be cool. But I also think it's actual fire because that's what it says. It says fire, which is a hell of a gifting to have. You know what I mean? Some dude's talking trash to you. You're in the line at Walmart and somebody's being ornery and you just turn and look at them and you go, and they burst into flames. Yeah. Yeah. With great power comes great responsibility. All right, let's talk about the Flynn Network real quick. I wanted to tell you guys about this. I've mentioned it previously in the past. I said to a friend yesterday, me personally, man, I need to get a lot less interesting. And what I mean by that is, I personally am just really, really tired of getting bumped by everyone. If you don't know what a bump is, it's a maneuver in the intelligence space where somebody arranges to bump into you. And it's like, oh my gosh, you like hoodies? I like hoodies too. That's incredible. Dude, that's an SOE tactical hoodie. You know John and Amanda? I know John and Amanda too. They're such cool people. No way. Are you working on a war belt? I'm working on. We should do war belt stuff together. It's called rapport. One of us. I'm like you. You're like me. Let's be best friends. Let's establish trust. No like trust, right? It's exhausting. The number of bumps that I personally have gotten specifically since Hurricane Helene in North Carolina. Now, I'd get bumped fairly regularly before that, and 2-3 times a year, maybe even 4 times a year if I said some crazy shit on the internet. But the number of bumps that I have gotten since Hurricane Helene astounds even me. Squimmed. Bear, you get bumped? Me too. Look at you, Squimmed. Rapport. Squimmed is one of me. I'm one of him. We should get bumped together. No. Bro, it's absurd. And the number of times that I have been bumped since Helene, that General Flynn has come up in conversation, them not me, it makes me think something's going on. Now, let me rightly divide here, okay? I stay super boring, very on purpose for as long as the Father lets me. 100% lamppost, 100%. I am a pastor and businessman in Eastern Oklahoma. That's what I do. I don't want to be part of anything. I told one of my guys yesterday, I said, unless we're revolting against the IRS, I'm not really interested. And not really, not really interested. So, in particular, of all these bumps, shall we name names? Whatever, they're public figures, so who cares? There's two that I find super interesting, both of which are reporters. One is Ann Vandersteel, and the other is Laura Logan. I'm not overly familiar with either of these people. I don't follow their work. I don't have a good read on who they are. But because of my actions in Western North Carolina, Eastern Tennessee during Hurricane Helene, and I took notes and I record phone calls. So I would just, anybody else that wants to bump me, I take notes and I record phone calls. Probably not a good idea. Let's see here. What were they looking for? Staunch constitutional conservatives, libertarians that consider FEMA to be the downright enemy. Let's see. Brought up ties to or being against the Biden and Harris regime and Blackwater specifically, because Eric Prince can't be trusted, nor can James O'Keefe because they have CIA and MI6 handlers. Let's see. Colonel Phil Waldron, don't know who that is. Michael Yon. Let's see. Specifically, this phrase has been used many times. A second covenant nation. Read your Bible more. I'm just going to throw that out there. And this was the most interesting thing. That General Flynn is establishing a parallel government at the direction of Donald Trump. And they are looking for good people on the ground to coordinate with. Well, let me just say this again in front of everybody. I don't want to coordinate on shit. Okay. I'm a pastor that talks to the internet to leave you guys a little bit better than you came. Who operates businesses? I have 5 companies, 2 ministries. If it's a tornado, a hurricane, or somebody trafficking children, I'm interested. We're going to go solve that problem. Being part of the parallel government, I don't want to be part of the government, the parallel government, the deep state, the anti-government, the state government, the local government. I don't want to run for sheriff. None of that. I don't want to, none of that. Renegade knows that's some QAnon stuff. You know, it's funny you say that because that keeps coming up in these bumps as well. And so just for the record in front of everybody, mark time at 1 hour in. I don't want to play. I'm not interested in playing. Stop bumping me. But why do y'all keep bringing up General Flynn and a parallel government? And that's where my little intel brain just starts getting really itchy. Okay. Another phrase specifically. These are quotes. General Flynn is anti-government. That's come up many a times. Many a times. Okay. Oh, and also here's the location of a skiff that we can meet at to talk at. No, I'm good. Thanks. I'm super good. I don't want to hang out in your skiff. I don't know a whole lot about Flynn, although I intend to find out soon, other than I know that there was a falling out between he and Trump. But here's the line, here's the story, that Flynn is behind the scenes right now establishing a parallel government for Trump that as a fail-safe for Trump, just like the deep state. And now we're connecting dots that honestly, I don't know whether or not they're connected yet. So to be completely honest with you. Okay, this is conjecture and opinion, not analysis on my part. General Flynn. All these bumps have brought up General Flynn. Many of them have brought up the concept of a parallel government. Many of them have brought up the concept of looking for good people to partner with on the ground. That phrase. Stop it. Ew, you're gross. Okay. Which then brings me, oh, and by the way, I'm not suicidal, and I don't drive fast, and I don't have any gas leaks, and I didn't shoot myself in the head in a Tesla Cybertruck with a Desert Eagle, and I'm not planning to do anything crazy. The crazy thing that I'm doing today is prepping for the winter storm that's coming. Okay. I'm fine. I am mentally sound. And one of my best friends is a world-renowned trauma therapist. So if I'm not, I'll call Dr. Trevor. All right. Okay, cool. Caveats, dude. It's so gay. This whole thing is so gay. I think Flynn, or I think the narrative here, again, narrative, counter narrative, the truth lies not beneath them, not between them. Okay. Salson, you're not suicidal? I'm not suicidal. Salson, stop bumping me, bro. I think Flynn, the narrative is that Flynn is establishing an alternate government at the behest of Trump as a failsafe for Trump if things go screwy during Trump's election to combat the deep state. To combat, and I use that word intentionally, the deep state, which could be in part why we're seeing this demoralization campaign against special forces, Navy SEALs, Army veterans, et cetera, et cetera. You look at what happened in New Orleans. You look at what happened in Vegas. You look at the Sean Ryan show. Is Sean Ryan a spook? Well, he was a spook. Is he still? I don't know. I'll tell you this. I don't distrust the man, but I'm certainly paying more attention from an analytical standpoint to the guests that he has on and the people that he chooses to speak with. And I'm still interested in going on his show and looking the man in the eye and taking the measure of the man and having a conversation where these kinds of questions can be asked. That being said, I don't think Sean has a duty or responsibility to disclose those relationships if he's engaged in them, because if he does, he will end up in a cyber truck, I think. And I don't really want that to happen to anybody. But I do find it curious how some of the largest shows, podcasts, YouTube channels, etc., in today's social media, alternate media space are all tied back to the CIA. Former CIA intelligence officer, Matt. Okay. Nah, don't love that. Don't love that. Well, there's got to be good people inside of the organization. Yes, there are a handful of good people inside of any organization, but the organizations themselves are jacked. And so if Flynn is anti-deep state, and if Trump has tapped him on the shoulder to be his parallel government and meet with good people on the ground to partner with, if this thing goes sideways, in large part, and here's part of the counter narrative as well, is that Flynn has been meeting with and has been building out a network of combat vets and resilient Americans that if things go sideways, they can tap that network to reestablish the United States of America. These are all ifs. And again, it's not analysis. This is opinion. Even if that's the case, I don't want to play. I'm super good, man. You know what I want to do? I want to control asterisk the 5 miles around my house from where I'm sitting right now. That 5 mile radius out from here. Because I got food, water, shelter, power, commo, et cetera, resiliency, standoff capability, the ability to, how shall I phrase this? Exert force. Yeah. That's what I want. I don't want to be part of the rebuilding campaign for America 2.0. I don't want to be a general in the Second American Revolution. I'm not interested in any of that. But I will tell you this. If any of y'all are also experiencing this, these are the kinds of things I want to know about. Intel at bearindependent.com. We are crowdfunding our own boots on the ground, crowdsourcing our own boots on the ground intelligence here at the Bear Nation. So anything you're seeing, hearing, feeling, relating anything like this, please send it to intel at bearindependent.com. I'm not a hero. I don't want to be a hero. I'm not in the government. I don't want to be in the government. I don't want to be in the parallel government. I don't want to be part of the deep state. You know who I want to fight? Pedophiles. And I already do. Thank you very much. Hurricanes and tornadoes. And I already do. Thank you very much. And I'm good. And I like being independent of the government when I do those things because I don't have a handler. I don't have anybody to tell me what I can and can't do. And I love that. So I work for the creator of the universe, nobody else. And I get to work with y'all, literally and figuratively, because you guys show up and help and support and pray and donate when we do those things. And we're good. We're good. Don't need the government's assistance. Don't need the government's permission. Just don't want to. And I also don't want to have that close of a proximity to somebody who's probably a double agent. Oh, yeah, I'm totally part of General Flynn's parallel government. Joke's on you. I'm part of the deep state. How do you feel about living in a concrete box for the next 12 years before we just execute you? No, I'm good on that. I'm super good on that. By the way, also, just for the record, I'm not going peaceably, just so we're all on the same page. If it ever comes to that, I ain't going peaceably. You'll know about it. I'll be on national news. Where are all the drones? Has anybody noticed that? All of a sudden, there's no more drone sightings. There's no more drone sightings, even though Matt Livesberger said that the drones were being launched by Chinese submarines off the eastern coast and that it's checkmate and they've got us. And that came out. I'll QRF. I know you will, Striker Caden. I love you for that. Livesberger comes out and is like, the drones are Chinese and it's checkmate and they got us. Where'd all the drones go? And, this is one of the things. It makes me question. Now you've got Sean Ryan saying that the FBI has confirmed that the email that was sent to Sean Ryan and to others came from Matt Livisberger and that it's legitimate. Oh, so the FBI is a trusted source now? No, I don't think that they are. I think that the FBI said that it came from Matt Livisberger because the FBI is the one that set this up in the FBI is the one who did this. Oh yeah, it totally came from Matt Livisberger. Sure did. Tradesman, can we please just make the rock pile great again? Yes, we can. Yes, we will. So where have all the drones gone? I mean, kind of like what is that? Sarah McLachlan? Where have all the cowboys gone? Yeah, except with drones. Oh, now they're just gone up. But it's aliens. No, it's China. No, it's secret United States gravitic propulsion technology. And it's nuclear weapons. It's where are they? Now, here's the other thing. What are the drones doing? I still think, I believe, based upon intelligence that I received, that those drones were in part looking for nuclear fissile material. We also know that those drones, and now this is, in every lie, there's a kernel of truth, right? We know that these drones were doing ISR, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, specifically SIGINT, signals intelligence. They were intercepting, collecting signals intelligence. Now, you guys think like, yeah, like the beep boop beeps from these major corporations. Man, I use SIGINT capability offensively against bad guys, so I'm not going to give you all the details, but just suffice it to say, if you have anything that has a battery in it or that plugs into the wall, it can be targeted. And I mean that directly and literally. So I'll just say it again for all you good people out there. If you have anything that has a battery in it, and I want you to think about that, run down a little inventory of your head of things that have batteries in it. Not just little batteries, big batteries, or that plugs into the wall, it can be targeted through SIGINT capability. Yeah. Okay. That's why I use wireless hole punchers. Tristan, I'm assuming you have a device since you're on YouTube right now. Okay. So it can be targeted. And now here's the thing. A lot of this targeting, you got to be within so many feet of the signal that's being emitted. And it is not illegal to collect signals that are being emitted. Yeah. Praise Yah. Because we use that shit all the time. It's not illegal to collect signals that are being emitted. But you got to get close enough to catch the signal. Well, low altitude drones flying in grid patterns. There you go. Yeah, it's not drone season anymore. It's starting fires. It's lasers starting fires in California season. So where have all the drones gone? I don't know. They ain't here anymore. Austin Jim, we're fooked. Yeah. Oh, that reminds me of the Irishman from Braveheart. Good movie. Top 5. Spools of comma wire are cheap. Yeah, they are. You used to be able to get them for like nothing, from Cheaper Than Dirt and from the Sportsman's Guide. Get your radio telephones and field phones, all that. Yeah. Anything that emits can be intercepted and collected. It's as simple as that. But now all the drones are gone all of a sudden. But what about the fog? Are they spraying the fog? And then you get people saying it's just fog. It's, these people have never seen fog before. But then you have people that are collecting the fog because it's like plastic pelletized bullshit that smells like gasoline. I don't know. Praise Yah, we haven't experienced the fog, that fog. We have normal fog here. I don't know. I don't know what's happening with the fog, but it's freaking interesting, which brings us to California fire season. The lasers are spraying the woods of Beverly Hills or Palisades or wherever. Last I saw last night was up to 1,100 acres. I have no idea what it's up to today, but I said to my wife yesterday, it's like, I read an article that said that residents of Los Angeles need to be prepared for fire nados as winds kick up to 70 miles per hour, and the temperature differentials can cause the fire to turn into fire tornadoes. So have a plan for fire nados. I looked at my wife and I said, "Tell me you're getting judged without telling me you're getting judged. When setting your shit on fire isn't enough and the father has to send fire tornadoes at you, that's probably a signal. That's probably a signal. I guess it's up to 2,900 acres now, says John Jones. So, um, they're talking about smart dust in the fog. Angela, they better don't. Nope, I'm not into that. So the destroyer is here. What if there are sharks in the firenadoes? I had a young man say that to me yesterday. John McMillan, we share a curse, the curse of common sense. Prepare for the worst and pray for the best and do all you can to make life better in between. Amen. I agree with you. The horseman ride. You know, here's the thing. I disagree. The horseman ride. I think in large part from COVID forward, this has been an intentional effort to make people of faith believe that we are experiencing biblical things. But when we are experiencing biblical things, all of us believers who have the Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit, there will be a unity of conviction. We will know it. There won't be conjecture. It won't be opinion. It won't be I think. There won't be separation. It's echad, one. There is one Christ. There is one body. There is one Elohim. There is one Holy Spirit. The 54,000 different denominations don't matter. They're all garbage anyway. One. In the mouths of two or three, let a thing be established. In a multitude of counselors, right? In the book of Proverbs. And so I think these satanic pedophiles are doing everything they can to make it appear as if we are in end times and this is biblical chaos, but it's not, because when it's from Elohim, it's undeniable. And if this, what we are living through right now, is the book of Revelation, then John the Revelator owes me an explanation because he embellished a whole bunch of stuff. Okay. So I don't think we're there yet. And I think 2,900 acres being on fire is not the pits being opened. I don't think we're there yet. I don't think the horsemen are riding, because the plague, it was manufactured. The famine is in large part manufactured. The death, 3 or more comorbidities. War, manufactured. So I'm just not convinced that we're in end times. I'm not saying that we're not potentially knocking on the door of it, but if this is what the book of Revelation looks like in actuality, then John was high on some shit. Just being perfectly honest. I disagree. So all these things go back to, from a preparedness standpoint, have a bug out plan, have a bug out location, have a network of people that you trust, be ready to move at a moment's notice. You should have a 1-hour plan, a 4-hour plan, and a 24-hour plan. I got to go right now. We got to go. Okay. What's our 1-hour plan? If we go within 1 hour, 60 minutes, we're wheels up. What goes in the vehicles? Who goes in what vehicle? Do we have enough fuel? Blah, blah. What are we taking? What are we leaving? Okay. 4-hour plan, same thing. And a 24-hour plan. Now they're all going to look different. 24-hour plan, you could take a lot more. You can be much more orderly, thought out, the whole nine. 1-hour plan, not so much, which is why I would encourage you to write that stuff down so that if you need it, that you who, got a reasonable night's sleep and probably had a cup of coffee this morning or maybe a waffle or something, relatively warm and not stressed, or just normal level of stress, you were able to be logical, not emotional about it, and write down a protocol now. So if/when you got to go, you could just pull that 1-hour plan. I'm going to load these 5 things into that vehicle, those 4 things into these vehicle, 3 people go in this vehicle, 3 people go in that vehicle, and we are headed this way, go. And then all the basic prepper shit, like food, water. They keep your radios charged. Have spare batteries for your radios. Have spare batteries for, oh, look, a spare battery. Look, a spare battery. Look, spare batteries. Look, more spare batteries. Hold on. Look, more spare batteries and spare other things. This is a cool knife. This was gifted to me. Special Forces guy. It's for this is not for cutting up a sheep. It's not what it's for. This is a get the hell off of me knife. But anyway, spare batteries. Okay. So do all the basic prepper things, because regardless of what the stimulus is, if Russia, China, North Korea, Iran decide that they're going to nuke us because of Ukraine, or if Trump land grabs Canada and Greenland and Panama and all of Central America, or if the Flynn Network goes active on the anti-government, anti-deep state, parallel government, blah, 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 blah. Or when the drones return and it turns out the fog is filled with nanobots, or it's flammable, or it's got bird flu in it, or the laser beams set your neighborhood on fire. Hey, we got to go. We got to go. And that's what bugging out is. How do I get from where things are bad to where things are less bad and or good? Okay. So I too have spare batteries, says Nostradamus. That's the show for today, y'all. I appreciate you boys and gerbils very much, very, very much. Thank you to everybody on Patreon. It's the beginning of the month. It's the best time of the month to sign up for Patreon. Just had a video yesterday, what to look for when buying undeveloped land. About a 30-minute walk and talk, showing, teaching, discussing. Tomorrow is Thursday, so we'll have Patreon exclusive live stream Thursday tomorrow night for everybody on Patreon. Remember that. It should be about 6:30 p.m. Central Time. What else? We have upcoming trainings with Grindstone Ministries. And so at our Grindstone Ministries training facility. So check your emails. If you've deployed with Grindstone before, if you're a vetted member of Grindstone Ministries, we have upcoming pro bono trainings coming up. Everything from OSHA 40-hour HAZWOPER to CDL driving to chainsaw and heavy equipment operations to medical trainings, all that. Check your emails. If you're not part of the Grindstone crew, Glock 316, the buying rural land video on Patreon was worth the cost alone. Bless you, Glock 316. Yeah, it's only $10 a month. It's not $100 or $1,000 a month. It's $10. And there's 5,000 plus videos in the backlog on Patreon, each one chock full of value. Okay. So if you're not part of the Grindstone crew and you want to be, go to grindstoneministries.com, sign up. There's a vetting process, blah, 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 blah. Get involved. So the next time there's a hurricane, tornado, fire, you want to go be the hands and feet of Most High and learn a thing or two about preparedness in the process. That's what Grindstone does. calebhouse.org. We will be putting up probably February 1, a wish list, an Amazon wish list of things that we need to furnish care houses at our restoration facility. So be on the lookout for that. That's coming. In the meanwhile, if the Spirit convicts you, we are not fully funded to build our restoration facility for juvenile human trafficking survivors. If the Spirit convicts you and you'd like to pour into that, you can go to calebhouse.org, Caleb with a K, calebhouse.org. Progress is being made. How much progress is classified, but Robin Watson, shalom, sister. And yeah, we're doing the things. We've got kids in our care, ongoing field operations, construction ongoing. Barn doors up. Care House 1 is 3 weeks from being done. Progress has started on Care House 2. Administration building is dirt work is ongoing. Concrete as soon as we can. Oh, thank you, Striker Cade. The Ruckus, March 7th through 9th, refugeruckus.com. If you want to come support Caleb House, it's a 3-day event. There's speakers, presenters, baptisms, Bible study, live music, tug of war, and a ruck through downtown Fort Smith, Arkansas. And yes, I will be there. Bless you, Rescue. refugeruckus.com. There's individual, team, family pricing. It's still early bird pricing right now. That's going to change soon. So, and it's affordable. So please come to the Refuge Ruckus. Last year we had 282 people at Bible study, and it was amazing. The venue, we can hold 400 to 600 people easily. So you guys, hotels are filling up fast, says Striker Kate. That's awesome. You guys know me. Constant forward motion, right? I'd like to blow the number 282 out of the water. We had 42 baptisms last year. Just off the cuff, people getting convicted. It was beautiful. And our director of operations, Kyle at Grindstone, was like, I think we need to bring like a stock tank to baptize people just in case. And I was like, yeah, if even one person needs to get baptized. So we filled a couple of stock tanks and put them out front of the Fort Smith Convention Center. And 42 people got baptized. That was amazing. And I have a wedding to perform as well. So that weekend. So Big Timber will bring some Tiger Camo Bible cases to the Ruckus to share. I dig it. So it's going to be a good time. And refugeruckus.com, REFUGERUCKUS, refugeruckus.com. And it was cold. It was cold, but we made it. We stayed warm. We were moving. What else? Of course, refugemedical.com. Best first aid kits on planet Earth. Shall we pray? Yes, we shall pray. Oh, good morning, Father Yahuwah. Father, thank you for all the things we take for granted, for allowing us to wake up this morning. Father, thank you for remediation of sin and our lawlessness by the blood of Yeshua Messiah, that we would have a way to come home to you again. Thank you for knowing us and loving us from before we were formed in the womb, and for having a plan for our eternal soul and a plan for our hands and feet while we're here too. Thank you for the model of Messiah to walk in to the best of our ability, that we would want to do good, that we would want to heal the sick, that we would want to assist the afflicted, that we would want to love our neighbor as ourselves, not just be commanded to, but want to have the appropriate heart condition to love you, Father, that with everything that we've got, and to love our neighbor as ourselves. Father, thank you for loving us even when we don't love ourselves, and showing us what true love actually looks like, that we might have a frame of reference to be able to love others. Father, thank you for myriad provisions and protections and blessings. Thank you for all the things that nobody ever sees, for all the things that we take for granted, for all the serendipity and happenstance that is actually your divine hand and your divine plan. Father, thank you that no weapon formed against us shall prosper. Father, please pour out your spirit on all these people today. Convict them to walk in your ways and to go where you need them to go and do what you need them to do. And put your words in their mouth, that they would be a light unto the nations, for blessing and for healing and for encouragement and for love, Father. Father, thank you that you're sovereign over all things. The worldly chaos and the personal hurt and pain and inadequacy and lack and fear, that you're sovereign over that too. So, Father, let us just give those things over to you, that we could focus on the good, the light, the love, the purpose of a man of Elohim, to walk in the model of the man of Elohim, to be more like you, Father, to the best of our broken ability. Father, please bring peace and hope to those that need it, all those that are hurting everywhere. Father, visit them. Let your peace rest on them. Father Yahweh, please give us this day our daily bread. We are open and willing to whatever your call in our life is today, to be a participant in this beautiful thing called life with you. And I thank you for the opportunity to participate with you in whatever it is that we've got to do for your glory, not for mine. Father Yahweh, if there's anything within the sound of my voice that's not of you, including in me, I rebuke it in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach and command it to flee. Father, fill us up with your Ruach HaKodesh, your Holy Spirit, for wisdom and discernment, Father, and for strength and power and authority in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach, to be your hands and feet, to go and do whatever it is you need us to do. Father, please today make your face to shine upon these people, that they would experience your peace, your shalom this day. Father, we love you. We praise you. We thank you for the atoning sacrifice of Yeshua Messiah. In his name, amen. Alrighty, y'all. I must go. I will see you when I see you. I love y'all. Go be the light. Go do the things. Go do the things. Yes, you should pray about it. Yes, you should contemplate it. Yes, no man endeavors to build a tower without first counting the cost. But go do it. Okay? Go be the light. Go do. Go do. See y'all when I see you. Shalom.